What's up, YouTube, and welcome to my pickups video for the month of October 2024. Had just a little bit of travel this month. I went to Austin, Texas last weekend for a concert. You can see a clip from the footage of that in my channel if you're interested, and had a really good time there. I've been to Austin maybe 3 or 4 times before, and I can just tell you the city is changing rapidly. There's been a huge influx of population that's been well noted in the news, but you feel it being there. Traffic is insane. And just getting around to some of the little places is just a lot more difficult than it used to be. So kind of sad to see that happen, I guess, because I always thought it was a fun little city to get around in easily and see a lot of cool, just artsy type stuff. But now it's so populated, it's becoming like many other big cities. The other thing, though, that I've noticed about Texas in general is it's a really bad place to game hunt. And that's been true of pretty much all the major cities in Texas that I've been to. I don't really know what the whole culture is with Texas and video games and the stores and things like that, but it's almost like you take what a normal retail store would charge for something, and then you look at like an eBay price maybe, and then maybe max price charting, and then Texas prices are like a level above that. And I don't understand it, because there is some good stuff there. It's just really, really overpriced. So that being said, I only brought back a couple minor things from my trip, but I did have a couple other pickups I got this month. It was a very mild month overall. I spent so much last month at the Portland Con and some of the other things I got that I figured I should probably slow it down a little bit this month. So with that being said, let's go ahead and see what I grabbed over the month. So I did get one game for my collection, and this is Sonic Wings 3. This was actually an eBay purchase, and it's one that's been on my Neo Geo CD list for quite some time. I had familiarity with the series in that the original is the very rare game Aero Fighters on Super Nintendo. Aero Fighters and Sonic Wings are kind of used interchangeably as series names depending on which region you're in. And so I have that one. I have Sonic Wings 2 on Neo Geo CD. Bought that very early when I got the Neo CD, but I don't remember a whole lot about it. And so when I got this one, my expectations were actually pretty low. But I will say I really enjoyed playing this. And if you're unfamiliar with the series, this was developed by a company called Videosystem, which had several teams that worked for it, but most notably the team that worked primarily on this series is the group that went on to form Psycho, the shooter developer. So if you play this, you'll feel right at home if you like the Psycho series shooters. The bullets look about the same, the stage design is very similar, the characters, very similar mindset to how they went on to create their games down the road. So definitely enjoy that. It has very short stages, but very elaborate boss fights. The music in this is incredibly notable, though. It's just a drum and bass 90s soundtrack, but honestly, it's really well done, and it really felt a lot like playing some of the early Ridge Racer games with some of the soundtracks to those. So kind of fun to play a shooter with that in the background versus, I don't know, some of the more generic soundtracks that you got toward the era. But I've never played this in arcade. I mean, obviously it was also an MVS cart for Neo Geo systems. I'm sure there's plenty of them out there. Just not something I'd ever had exposure to. So had a good time with this. It wasn't one of the more expensive Neo CD games, so I was happy just to get it and get some good playtime out of it. But can recommend this if you're interested in another Sonic Wings series game and you haven't played this one. It's pretty good. So that actually was the only game I got this month, and then I got some other stuff related to that, related to gaming. So first one of these was just a continuance of what I got last month. Last month I got a really nice Atomic Punk for the Game Boy. The box, the warranty card, and the tray, and the poster all came from the Portland Con. I got a nice one. I had the cartridge already, so I stuck that with it. But the one thing that was missing was the manual, and so I was able to find the manual on eBay, and that is now a nice complete copy. So it has the very same artwork on it as the box, which is this kind of crazy and very pink artwork that really stands out on the shelf, so I think that's cool to have this. If you didn't catch my last video, Atomic Punk is actually a relative of the Bomberman series, so if you like those, you will feel right at home playing this. And kind of similar to Sonic Wings, Atomic Punk was like another variant of the Bomberman series for arcade purposes in certain markets. It was called that, so that's the rationale behind the name. But we got several other Bomberman games later on for the Game Boy, but this is really the first one that came to the US, so very cool to have that nice and complete. One of the things I did find at a game store in Texas, and believe me, I hit several, I just struck out at just about all of them, was an NES manual off my list, and so I was happy to get RoboCop 2. I have RoboCop 1 and 3 with the manuals, so I didn't need those, but for some reason this Part 2 manual has been really, really hard for me to find, And I would think that with Part 3 being the later release in the series, that would be the easier one to get, or I'm sorry, the harder one to get, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Like, I've noticed that this one just, I don't know, in all my digging for manuals in the wild, I've never found this. So, very happy to get this off my want list, and I'm getting pretty close to the full set of manuals. So, got some heavy ones on there, of course, but definitely making progress. Want to say maybe 70 to 75 to go. I don't have it in front of me, but it's getting pretty close compared to the whole system library. So, just continuing to chop away at it over time. It's not like an aggressive goal, but it's something I would like to do over time. The one other thing I got at the game store in Texas was they had a magazine rack with magazines and strategy guides, which I always like to find in the wild. They didn't have prices on any of them, and so I wasn't sure like what they were looking for them. Most of them were newer stuff. They weren't really anything I was totally going after, but this was one that is related to EGM magazine of the era in the 90s. That I'm definitely interested in. And so this is a very, very tattered copy of the EGM 1995 Video Game Buyer's Guide. And so EGM typically would put out one of these about once a year. I think these were actually released like at the end of the year before, so it was like as a preview to 1995. Here's some of the games that we reviewed in 1994 and also maybe some things to look out for. Majority of this is just recycled content from the actual magazine, just compiled for like a newsstand special. So I have several of these in my collection, but I'm pretty sure I didn't have this one. And ultimately, I probably would have skipped on this just due to the condition of it if I wasn't already at the register and having to get a price check and all that. And so I was, wanting to know how much it was going to be. I was thinking it was probably like $1 or $2, considering it's all torn to shreds, but they still wanted $5 for it. So whatever. I decided to grab it impulse purchase-wise, and I'll give it a read and file it away. If I ever get a better one, I'll obviously replace this because it's not typically the condition that I buy my magazines in. But yeah, nice to have one of these. This was a good year for video games, like kind of the late 94 era going into 95. There just was a lot of good classic games that were released around that era, so I'm sure nothing's like going to be mind-bending as far as new news that I'm going to glean out of this, but at least it'll be a nice retrospective of all the game releases that were coming out about that time. So anyway, like I said, short and sweet, that's about it for the month. I have some other travel coming up in November, so hopefully I'll have some good stuff to show for that. But thank you for watching. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.